This is the beginning of part 2 in the series of making this modern wheel look vintage. So I'm going to put on some contact cement and start wrapping with string. Yeah, that feels pretty good. Alright, that was tedious as all get out. Alright, on to the next one. so there it is. Feels good. Tomorrow I'll go over to the hardware store and get some varnish. Take this off and see if that'll make it nice and firm. A couple of coats, I think. So I'm glad that's done. That was kind of tedious going around that. But I think it looks good. Then I can work on this, which really shouldn't take me that long. So I think I might be able to finish this thing up tomorrow. All right. I wanted to experiment a little bit with a tint in the varnish that I was going to use. So down at the shop I had some of this polyurethane, fast drying. I also had some of this spar urethane. And then, these are both oil based. So I had some UTC color. This is raw sienna that I wanted to try to tint. This is clear. These are clear. So I wanted to try to tint. So I made up this sample here. So this is the natural string with nothing on it right here. And then this represents, these in essence are the same. These two are the same. So that's the natural color of the string with this urethane on it. One coat. I'd probably put several coats really. Now this color here is, I took the polyurethane, I added some of the UTC, and that gave it a brown color. And then I also tried it with some wood stain I had, and that created this color, which I don't really care for. So what I'm going for is something lighter than this, but darker than this. So I'm gonna mix up a batch here. This UTC, boy, it doesn't take very much. So I'm gonna just sneak up on a color that's a little darker than this and see what happens. Doesn't look like it go on clear, does it? But it dries pretty much clear. Boy, it doesn't take much. I might have put in too much. Well, I can tell by looking, it's not as dark as the batch I had for that one. Alright, so there was no tint, too much tint. See, that's a little better. I think that'll get darker as I put more coats. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so this is the batch. Now I'm going to put on the first coat of probably, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 or 5. I want to build up enough that I can maybe sand it lightly, or at least feels stiff. You know, like it's got some build. Alright, so that's what I'm going to do. when this first coat dries, it'll be a lot lighter than this. It's going to take several coats to get the color to come up. Okay, so that's the first coat, and it'll lighten up, I'm pretty sure, once it dries. And then I'll put on several more, and we'll see. You know, there'll come a time when they'll know it feels right, but I don't know what that is right now. So, okay, so I've been thinking about the center hub of the steering wheel. So this is the typical setup. You've got this, and then the cap. So I think what I want to do is put a flat aluminum disc with the 3 bolts. That'll look more mechanical. So as it turns out, I have a piece of aluminum bar stock here. It's 2.5 inches in diameter. So I'm going to clean up the face, and maybe I'll make it probably 1/8 to 3/16 thick. But I'll clean up the face and the edge here a little bit, maybe put a little bevel. And then I'll bandsaw that off and drill some holes in it, and hopefully it'll look good. Maybe one more pass on the face. A little bit slower. It's not bad, but I think I can get a little bit. Alright, nice and slow. Make a clean cut. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. That last cut was a nice slow feed, so it's just nice smooth face. And then here I just cleaned up the mill finish just a couple thousandths. So now I want to put a little bevel on this. I should put a different cutter in it, but I think I can get it done with this. This is sticking out far enough. I'm only just going to put a little chamfer there. Then I'll take it to the bandsaw and I'll cut this off at the desired thickness. Probably 3/16 or thereabouts. If you can hear a humming, that's the inverter I have to convert to the 220 volt running off the house current. So I set up the cutter to do a little chamfer right here, and I've got clearance, so it's just a real simple cut. So let me get that done. All right, feels nice, smooth surface. So I'll bandsaw that off. Here's a close-up view of what I got so far. So this is 2.5 in diameter. I cleaned it up just a little bit here on the edge, and I put a chamfer. So I'll slice that on the bandsaw, and that'll give me an aluminum disc for the center of the hub. Alright, well, I have my bandsaw here outside, and it's getting kind of dark, so I got the light on. Alright, I've got this set for 3/16 slab here. So let's get it tightened up. Okay. Nice and slow. No hurry. There we go. There, now it's cutting good. Okay, so here's the disc after I bandsawed it. Then I cleaned up the back a little bit with the disc. Then I drilled some holes in it that line up with the quick disconnect for later. Then I was trying to figure out how I can make this look vintage. So these are the bolts that come with the steering wheel to attach to the quick disconnect. I'm not going to use this, but I'm going to use it to set this on here. So then I was digging around in the parts bin, and I found this big bolt and big nut. So I screwed this in here and cut it off. And so I could just attach that. Maybe I'd thread that and put a screw in there. But that'll make it look like it bolts on with a big bolt. Then as I'm digging around in the parts bin, I come across, this is a freeze plug, you know, that you use on an engine, brass freeze plug. And I thought, well, how's that look if I put that on there? So that's not too bad, you know. That might look okay. Later, I'll put it on the steering wheel and we'll, you know, see how it looks with the spokes. But this is just something I thought of about 30 minutes ago. So anyway, still working on the vintage look. We'll see. All right, so here's the first coat of the polyurethane, the clear polyurethane with a tint in it. And this took pretty much all day to dry. I had it in the garage or out in the shop last night, and it was chilly. So this morning it still wasn't dry. This oil base takes a while. So I put it out in the sun during the afternoon, and now it's dry, you know. But it'd probably take 2 or 3 days to really dry out good. It's considerably lighter in color than last night. I think I'm going to put one more coat on it. And then after that, I'll just put the clear with no tint. I'm thinking, by looking at it, I don't know, two more coats would probably be about right. It's starting to stiffen up, you know, but it's still got a long ways to go. So I'm going to put another coat on it with the tint. Yeah, this coat's going on a lot easier. Coverage is way better. I had to soak in last night, so this won't take me long at all. It's interesting how on camera, geez, it looks really bright yellow almost. But I'm thinking it's going to dry down overnight and be a little bit lighter than this, and should be just about the color I'm looking for. So it'll be interesting to see.